Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as the Shastra, is called as the Vedartha Anusandhan. This is a scripture, this is a text that unfolds the Vedic wisdom. All the profound truths of the Veda. Here, in the context of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna is giving this wisdom. This wisdom is a practical wisdom. This wisdom in the dialogue, basically it's a conversation form, right? Dialogue form, dialogical form to Arjuna. And this wisdom is given in the middle of the life challenges, correct? If you see the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the dilemma of Arjuna to fight or not. And as a yodha, as a warrior who is supposed to protect the kingdom, getting perplexed, not doing the own duty, swadharma. So Gita as a shastram, as per Adishankara Bhagavatpada, Tadidam Gita Shastram Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha Bhudam Durvijneyartham. This is the essence of Veda. This is the unfolding of the Vedic wisdom. And Gita as a Shastram, we all will appreciate the breadth and the completeness. And as a Guru, Bhagavan Krishna is clearing all the doubts of Arjuna. It's a doubt-free knowledge. When I say giving this wisdom to Arjuna, this wisdom is given to all of us, still giving to all of us. And what is the central teaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita? Knowledge only will liberate us. And this freedom in life will come through the self-knowledge, the direct knowledge of the self, the Atma-jnanam. And what is this Atma-jnanam? I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intellect, I am not this senses. And who am I? I am this self. I am this Atman, I am this Brahman. And this is the direct knowledge. This is not just a theory that somebody is telling. And as yogam, if you see, karma yogam, bhakti yogam, upasana yogam, jnana yogam. These are the 4 yogic strengths or yogic ways or yogic paths. And if you see karma yogam, bhakti yogam, and the upasana yogam, the way of doing actions, the devotion, the path of devotion, the path of meditation. These 3 paths, if you see, these 3 are mainly for purifying our mind. And what is the end result? Only knowledge is the end result. Jnanam is the end. And karma yogam is a preparatory discipline. Now we are going through the chapter Karma Yoga. This is just a preparatory discipline. And the most important part is basically don't reject the actions. Actions cannot be rejected. That is where the dilemma of Arjuna comes. Should I withdraw? Should I run away? Should I withdraw from this? No. Actions cannot be rejected. And Bhagavan Krishna insists Arjuna to continue to do the action in a different way. Different way is all about what? Not in the external realm doing something different. In your inner plane, you ensure that the purification of mind happens even if you do the war. And for a yodha, for a warrior like Arjuna, and this is the dominant action that he has to do: protect the kingdom, fight the war. For what? Bhagavan says the purpose is for gaining the chitta shuddhi, or the purification of mind. And the result is what? Result is basically the eligibility of gaining the self-knowledge. Through these actions, you ensure purification of the mind, and you make yourself eligible to gain the self-knowledge. So that is where Bhagavad Padar says, Karma Yoga as a ladder, Karma Yoga as a climbing ladder. So here Bhagavan says, you convert your actions in such a way that you enable the purification of the mind. Once the purification of the mind happens, the mind will get equipped to a state to do the inquiry, actions to purification to inquiry. And inquiry is for what? Inquiry to gain that knowledge. And why you need the knowledge? For the liberation in life. So action, do actions, not just a mechanical action. So with the mindset to do the action to purify the mind, enabling inquiry and gaining knowledge, and using that knowledge you have liberation in life. So bhakti becomes a continuous process of doing this inquiry, and this inquiry is towards what? To know one's own nature. Swaswarupa anusandhanam bhakti rityabhidiyate. What is bhakti? Bhakti is all about having the devotion to the higher nature. And this is basically what the continuous inquiry that one has to do to reach that stage. In fact, there is nothing like reaching, etc. Right now, the issue is basically we are not knowing that. So, what happens basically? The matured state of devotion is resulting in this knowledge. And as per Bhagavad Padar, the bhakti has two realms. The first, the lower bhakti or the ritualistic bhakti, that will help in purifying the mind. And the other stage is basically what? The higher bhakti. What is that higher bhakti meaning? Abidance in one's own true nature, knowing the true self, abiding in that self. And in the 11th chapter in Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, Bhagavan says that this is the one of the core declaration that Bhagavan does in terms of what is bhakti. Before starting the 12th chapter Bhakti Yoga, at the end of the 11th chapter in the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, Bhagavan says, Naham vedair na tapasa na danena na cha ijjaya shakya evam vidho drishtam drishtavanasi mam yada bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya ahamevam vidorjuna jnatum drishtum cha tattvena praveshtum cha parantava mat karmakrit mat paramo mat bhakta Sangavarjida Nirvaira Sarvabhudeshu Yasamamedi Pandava. What is the meaning here? The I meaning this consciousness principle. In this context, Bhagavan says, you will not be knowing me, Arjuna. You will not know that higher principle, the universal consciousness, by just studying of the Vedas, nor by austerity, nor by doing charity or ritual sacrifices. They all will purify your mind. They all will equip your mind to gain this knowledge. What will help to gain the knowledge and enable liberation in life, to be with that truth? Only through the exclusive devotion. That is where in this context it says ananyaya bhakti. Ananya bhakti. So, hey Arjuna, please understand that only through ananya bhakti I can be truly known, seen, and even being with me. If you want to know that truth, you need to have the exclusive devotion. Ananya bhakti, Arjuna. Then only I can be seen. Then only this truth can be seen. Then only this truth can be known, seen, and even entered. This is praveshtu. Jnadum meaning to know. Drashtum, to see, meaning direct experience. Praveshtum cha parandava. Praveshtum meaning to enter. Meaning what? Oneness in the identity. Knowing that I am that truth. I am that. I am not different from that reality. Tattvamasi. So here, in this context, as we are continuing with Karma Yoga, Bhagavan Krishna proposes a lifestyle. Basically, what is this lifestyle? The Karma Yogam and Bhakti Yogam. There is no different path like Bhakti Yogam. Bhakti is implied. So, knowing me as the supreme truth, right? So, what we have to do? Mat Karma Krit. Mat Karma Krit meaning you act as an instrument. Do all actions for my sake. Do all actions for that higher truth. Mat Karma Krit Mat Parama. Mat Parama meaning what? Let the truth be the highest priority. The knowing that truth be the highest priority. Knowing that self be the highest priority. Knowing that self be my permanent goal. Mat Parama. Mat Bhakta. Mat Bhakta meaning what? Who is devoted to me. Who is living in devotion and not with ego. And Sangha Varjita. Sangha Varjita meaning what? Free from attachment. Dropping possessiveness. And Nirvaira. Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu. Free from the enmity. Sama Edi Pandava. Will only attain me, will only come to me. So, you do the actions as Karma Yogam, and with the Bhakti, with the deepest surrender, liberation is not withdrawal from life. Liberation is all about the freedom within the engagement. Whatever we are doing, the freedom that we have while we do the activities. This is what Bhagavad Gita as a Shastram shows the purpose in life. You know the truth, you know your core, you know your center. Now that center is blocked with many distractions. Our capacities are blocked. Our self is clogged. So that is where Bhagavan says, in order to unclog it, in order to unblock it, you start doing karma as a karma yogam for what? To gain the chitta shuddhi, sadguna sampadana, to remove the asakti, to remove the ragam, dvesham, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, to remove the attachment, aversion, doer-ship, enjoyer-ship, etc. You remove the ego. So when your ego recedes, your attention will get sharpened, your actions will become clean. That is where the chitta shuddhi, the stress on chitta shuddhi, meaning what? Your actions will become clean and focused, and you will also become joyful. There is no anxiety behind actions. There is no anxiety while you do the actions. There is no anxiety on the outcomes, because you are not keeping burden on the self importance. When I say self importance, the ego, that there is no burden given by the ego. You are gaining the mental purity, the clarity. You just put sincere effort. And we all should understand that the freedom is not after doing the actions. Freedom is what? Freedom is where, while we are engaged in actions totally or fully, and the ownership is dropped. So this is the jnana balam that Bhagavan says. This is the strength that we have to have in life. So once we have this strength, once we operate with this strength, everything will get automatically renounced. And I say all the non-essentials, as per the Vedantam, all the asat will take a back seat. All the asat will get renounced automatically. When I say asat, all the names, forms, space, time, causation, the play of ego, the accumulation of vasanas, that includes ragam, desham, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, they all will get automatically detached when one is having this knowledge. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse, Parigraho idukhaya yad yad priyadamam nrinam anandam sukham apnodi tad vidwan estu akinchana. Meaning what? The more we attach to the objects, those objects will start giving pain. So the one who understands this, right, not chasing the object for keeping us happy, will start depending on the inner strength. That is where, as per Gita, it's called as the Atma Bala, the inner strength. And that is the only way to unlock the potential. So that is what Bhagavan Krishna is equipping Arjuna. What is that Bhagavan is equipping Arjuna here? Arjuna is equipped with the quest for a yodha, because his innate tendency is to be a warrior, a yodha. Not only that, a yodha as well as a yogi, or yodha plus yogi, or yodha plus rishi. That's where in Gita you can see Tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. You become a yogi, Arjuna, by fighting the war. The quest for a yodha and a yogi or a rishi. Arjuna is equipped with this knowledge. And you find your true potential. You should know your true self. And your potential will never come from you identifying with the external things. You identifying with the external instruments, you will never see the true potential within. When you identify yourself with the outside objects, what is happening? You are creating a distance between you and the identities. You are drifting away from the core. So what is really needed to start? We all should have Shraddha. Shraddha is what? Shraddha is the power that empowers everything. Shraddha internally or within us, that is the trigger, that is the beginning. The power that empowers everything. The inherent capacity to know this truth, or we can say in plain English, the holdingness. In Bhagavad Pada's Viveka Chudamani, the mention is like Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharana Sa Shraddha Kadida Satbihi Yaya Vastu Upalabhyade. Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharana Sa Shraddha Kadida Satbihi Yaya Vastu Upalabhyade. So Shastram as a Pramana. Shastram as a Pramana meaning the means of knowledge. Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya. Guru Vakya meaning the Guru who is the master who is enabling us to know this truth. Guru does what? Guru removes the ajnanam. Guru removes the misinterpretation. Guru removes the personal biases. That is what Bhagavan Krishna is doing to Arjuna as a Guru. Arjuna was having his own way of thinking. Arjuna was having personal biases. So that is where from the second chapter you can see Guru is equipping Arjuna to remove the misinterpretation, to remove the personal bias. We can see in the fourth chapter again, in the Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. What is really needed? Shraddha is needed for gaining this knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara samyadendriya jnanam labdva param shanti ajirena adigachadi. So what is really needed? We need to have the Shraddha. Shraddha is what? Shraddha is the tool which is used to realize this truth. Sa Shraddha kadida sadbihi yaya vastu upalabhyade. So Shraddha can be also mentioned as the positive oriented reasoning. Shraddha as a tool, Shraddha as a positive oriented reasoning. And that is the real faculty which makes a human being unique. What makes a human being unique is Shraddha. And we can see enormous species are there in this universe. And only human beings are equipped with this Shraddha. And it doesn't mean that everybody is utilizing this potential. This potential will come when you are disciplining and integrating our energies in life. Having a discipline, having a way to integrate or having a way to conserve, having a way to channelize, having a way to utilize our different energies. In the Lalita Sahasranama we can see Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Surubinye Namaha. These three Shaktis, Ichha, Jnanam and Kriya. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. So we have to channelize these Shaktis. We have to have discipline in life. We have to conserve these capabilities. For what? To enable Shraddha. So our problem is basically now the Shraddha is towards outside. We are focusing more on the body, mind, intellect, senses, objects, things, relationships. Our identifications are kept. I am not saying that we should not deal with this. Our identifications are fully kept on these things. Our identifications are fully kept on the Prakriti. That includes our own body, mind, intellect, sense. So our identification is kept on these things and our identifications are wrongly kept. That is where we are now struggling. Wrongly kept in the sense, giving more importance to the ego, giving more importance to the objects, then trying to label with different things like enjoyership, doership, attachment, aversion. Let me ask a question. In deep sleep, what is really happening? There is no objects there, no vishayam, no vikshepam. What is really happening in deep sleep? It's basically an objectlessness. Right? No, nothing, no connection or no identification happening there, because no identification with body, no identification with mind. In the deep sleep, I am saying. Basically, what is happening, what is that we are experiencing in deep sleep is objectlessness. And what is our true nature? Our true nature is objectless awareness. In deep sleep, what is happening is basically we are not aware. Though objectlessness is there, we are not aware. And our true nature is what? Objectless awareness. This has to be experienced. This is so called as the Turiya Avastha. This is called as the fourth state. And this is the only one state which is pervading every time. So now our problem is basically distractions are more, because we identify ourselves with objects, vishaya. And those objects are giving distractions. If you write an equation like, say, productivity small p is equal to capital P, which is called as potential, minus D, distraction. Productivity is equal to potential minus distraction. When the productivity will be maximum? When the distractions are zero. When the distraction, that term is zero. So P, small p is equal to capital P minus 0. It means small p is equal to capital P. So when we have Shraddha in us, the distractions on the objects will go. So that is where Karma Yogam helps as a tool to make, or tool to bring the Andhakarana Shuddhi, to bring the purity in mind, so that the distractions will go away. So when our Shraddha turns inward, that I am this objectless awareness, distractions will go. In the Kadhopanishad, the mention is Indriyebhya Parahyarta Ardhebhyascha Param Manaha Manasastu Parabuddhi Buddher Atma Mahan Para. When what is really governing our life? Is it the Indriya or Manasa? The life is not governed by the senses. Life is not even governed by the mind. Indriyebhya parahyarta ardhebhyascha param mana manasastu parabuddhi buddher atma mahan para. So we are not even the mind. In the deep sleep, where is mind? But we still exist. We experience the happiness there. So where we get clarity? When the intellect is completely aligned with the self. When I say intellect, the discriminative intelligence or the buddhi. Buddher atma mahan para. When the buddhi turns inward, and when the buddhi gets rooted in the self, life becomes steady. Life becomes fearless. Life becomes purposeful. So here, very simple. We don't need a very big lecture here. Turn the attention from the objects to the body, to the senses, to the mind, to the intellect, to the self. You can see these words coming in the third chapter, 42nd. Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhya param manah manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhe paradastu. So now the scattered mind, which is focusing on the objects, to you the body, the physical body, to the senses, to the mind, to the intellect, to the self. You are not any of these things. You are not the object, you are not the body, mind, sense, intellect. You are beyond and behind these things. And you are what? You are that self. And the doer-ship, all these problems are in the plane of object, body, sense, mind, intellect complexes. That is where all this doer-ship and all attachment, aversion, enjoyership, everything exists there in that plane. Those exist in the plane of objects of body, mind, intellect, sense complex. And when you are clear that with the rational intellect you are identifying, you are having association with the self, you will drift from the doer-ship to the witness-ship. That is where the freedom comes while you do the action. And in the previous verses, in the Karma Yoga, we have covered all previous verses where Bhagavan says that I have to act, I have to set role modeling, I have to act, otherwise if I don't act, others will follow me and I am showing a wrong example. What is this implication? The wise should also act. Wise should continue to act in this world. And the wise will also perform duties in this life, not for the personal gains. They work for the welfare of all. So, nutshell, work is important, actions are important. Actions need to be converted as karma yogam, same actions are still executed, but the mindset behind doing the action is to gain purity of the mind with the clarity of the intellect that I am not this body, mind, intellect, sense. Associating with that self, all the problematic aspects coming from the plane of Prakriti will get detached. And that is where the freedom comes. With that, we will start the verse, 27th verse of 3rd chapter Karma Yoga. Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamidhi manyate. Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So here we need to understand the Prakriti. Prakriti is the core term in this verse. Prakriti kriyamanani. Prakriti here in this context we should understand that Prakriti is the power of God only. When we come to the 7th chapter you will understand Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. So Prakriti is also in one way you can call as the Maya. Prakriti is like the Apara Prakriti and Para Prakriti. It's like a coin where we have two sides. It is the power of God. It is the Maya. And when we say Prakriti, that includes body, mind, intellect, sense, ego, everything apart from the self. So here the verse says the true mastery of life begins when the mind is guided by the clear and discerning intellect, the path of freedom comes through the discrimination. The path of freedom comes through the buddhi. And here, one more thing you need to understand: prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani. Guna. So there are three gunas. Everything in this prakriti comprise of the three gunas: sattva, sattvam, rajas, and tamas. So we need to understand that every karma in this world, everything that you see, any manifestation that you see, it is the play of these three gunas: sattvam, rajas, tamas. And including our body, mind, intellect, senses have the influence of the prakriti, which is having these three gunas. So the one who is not, or who is under the influence of the gunas and prakriti, will mistake the true self as the prakriti, or the true self as the non-self, will position the true self as the prakriti that comprises of space, time, object, causations, name, forms, body, mind, intellect, senses, objects. The one who is under the influence of the prakriti and the guna will always position or mistake, or will be mistaking the non-self for the self, and becomes bound to action and suffering in this life. And we need to understand that all actions are performed in various ways, impelled by the gunas of the prakriti. And a person who is not having this knowledge will get deluded. Deluded in the sense, will identify himself or herself as the body, mind, intellect, senses, and will think that I am this the doer, I am this one who is thinking, and the ego comes into play and takes pride, arrogance, will think that I am the kartaham iti manyade, I am doing everything. Because I position myself with the prakriti and guna, then I am quite obvious to get deluded. I will have this confusion that I am the doer, I am doing everything. I will take pride. If I get something bad, I will get affected. My mood will go down, because I am drifting away from the true self and I am positioning in the prakriti. Such a person is called as a deluded person. So what has to be done? Remove this delusion. How to remove the delusion? Delusion can be removed through the knowledge. And what is this knowledge? I am not this prakriti, I am not this gunas. I am the truth. And that is my essential nature. I am not the prakriti, I am not at all the space, time, causation, objects, name, forms, not even the body, mind, intellect, sense. So where is the question of ego coming and taking pride or arrogance. Kartaham iti manyade. Prakrite kriyavanani gunai karmani sarvasya. Ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyade. Next verse. Tattva vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartande idimatva na sajjade. Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartande iti matva na sajjade. So here the Bhashyakaran's Bhashyam we will see, verse number 28. Tattvavit tu mahabaho kasya tattvavit guna karma vibhagayo guna vibhagasya karma vibhagasya cha tattvavit ityartha guna karanatmaga guneshu vishayatmageshu vartande na atma iti matva na sajjade saktim na karodi. So, hey Arjuna, please understand that, hey Mahabaho, hey Arjuna, the knower of the truth of gunas and actions is not bound. He is not bound by the gunas and not under the influence of the gunas. When I say not under the influence of gunas, not under the wrong understanding that I am this body, mind, intellect, sense complex. So, the lack of discrimination is where individuality comes into play. So, the wise, on the other hand, right, while though they deal with the body, mind, intellect, sense complex, wise will not doubt. The wise will not doubt to wrongly identify the self to this body, mind, intellect, sense complex. Though they use this body, mind, intellect, sense complex, the wise will not doubt the true self with the body, mind, intellect, sense complex. See, for example, if you see, for a wise also, for a jnani also, doing actions are important, right? Actions are needed for a jnani also, for anybody for that matter. Actions in the sense, thinking is needed, walking is needed, eating is needed, hearing is needed, seeing is needed, talking is needed. And it is very easy to understand that it is not possible without the body, mind, sense, intellect complex. Because for you to think, walk, eat, etc., you need to use this. But the jnani does not take the body, mind, intellect, sense complex as the self. So when the body, mind, and intellect, sense complex are not taken as the self, it is quite obvious that the wise will never get attached to the karma and will get deluded. See, one way it is easy to say, it is very clear that for a wise also, all these actions are needed. Thinking, acting, eating, sleeping, everything is needed. So one way we can say, for a jnani or an ajnani, this ego or ahankaram is there. When I say ahankaram, is basically doing these actions. There is a doing element happening, thinking, eating, etc. But what makes a wise and an unwise different? The difference between these two, jnani and ajnani, is basically what? Jnani does not take the body, mind, intellect, sense as a self, whereas the ajnani does. One way, one simple analogy. You have got a spoon in your hand to eat. So, are you the spoon? When you have a spoon in your hand to eat, are you the spoon? It is your spoon, you are using this. Similarly, when you have the body, my mind, my senses. So when including the ego, so in that way, when the ego starts playing, I am the karta, I am the doer, and all this body, mind, intellect, sense, ego, everything is under the influence of guna and the prakriti. The actions are performed in that plane, but who is the reason behind the action? See, all the modifications happen in these realms: body, mind, intellect, sense, etc. Who is the real karta here? Is this the body? Is this the mind? Is this the ego? When one starts understanding that I am this self, I am this Atma, and the nature of Atma is what? Nature of Atma is detachment. It is already implied. That is what it says. Idhi matva na sajjade. Not at all bound. Na sajjade, not bound. My nature impliedly, inherently is not bound. So all these wrong identifications are happening at the plane of the objects. With the right knowledge, one can easily detach, because the nature of Atma itself is detachment. Idimatva na sajjade is not at all bound. Verse number 29. Prakriter guna sammudha sajjande guna karmasu tan agritsna vidamandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. Prakriter guna sammudha sajjande guna karmasu tan agritsna vidaha mandan kritsna vida na vichalayet. So those who are deluded by the modification of the prakriti becomes bound in terms of body, mind, intellect, sense complexes, because they are under the clutch of the gunas and actions. The one who knows this self should not disturb those who do not the self. When I say disturb, should not disturb those who do not the self, meaning people who have identified themselves with these objects. They think that I am this body, I am this mind, I am this intellect, I am this so and so assumed personalities. Meaning what? They are not discriminating. They don't have the understanding of the right. What is the right thing? Nitya anitya vastu viveka. Here you can see mandaha, mandan. Mandan meaning what? This is the condition of the mind. What is the condition of the mind? Condition of the mind in this context is basically assuming a wrong personality, assuming the self as something else. And here the term word Krishna vid, the wise person who knows who truly am I. So here the verse says the noble people, I mean the people who are noble but ignorant about the true self should not be exposed to a sudden shock by a wise person. When I say sudden shock, don't try to give advice to, you know, go and realize the true self, because they are not equipped. They have not reached that stage. They need more time. They need time to accept, because they are not ripe enough to gain this teaching. Their intellect is still manda, meaning lethargic. So their intellect cannot take a leap and ask, who truly am I? Who is this doer? What is my true nature? Who truly am I? Who is the doer or enjoyer? They will fail because they are not equipped. They will not be able to penetrate beyond the circle of ignorance. So a jnani should not confuse them. A jnani should wait. Wait for what? Wait. And this is a slow process. An ajnani, a manda in this context, will take time, because it is a slow process. They will take time to catch up. And don't confuse them. Don't leave them in disturbed condition, because they are not awakened to that stage. So what we should do, what the jnani should do, the jnani should gradually instruct higher principles only when they are receptive. When at some point of their life they will start thinking, who truly am I? It can be through a life experience, or it can be through a result of an introspective trigger. It can be through any disillusionment. Maybe a spurious trigger can happen at some point of their life. Then the wise can appear and can give this knowledge. Here, one thing we need to understand, that as in the beginning I mentioned, Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharana Sa Shraddha Kadida Satvihi Yaya Vastu Upalabhyade. So here, the maturity that is needed in a person. When I say maturity, that kripa is needed. When that kripa comes, the shraddha will get triggered. And this is a flow. And the kripa should flow in. So until and unless that kripa is there, there is no point in, trying to inject this. This is the whole idea here. When jnani, without that kripa which appears in a person who is a mumukshu, should not give this teaching. In another way, this verse basically says that pakkoda, that maturity will come when we get the kripa, that blessings. Then the shraddha will come. Then the karma will become karma yoga. Then the purification of the mind will happen. Then the knowledge will come. That knowledge will become the conviction. And that ultimately will liberate us in life. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.